Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. The hidden tax poor people pay and rich people don't. You take the bus to work every day, 2 hours each way, 4 hours total. Your coworker drives 30 minutes each way, 1 hour total. You both work the same 8-hour shift, but you're giving up 3 extra hours per day, 15 hours per week, 60 hours per month, 780 hours per year. That's almost 33 full days. You're spending an entire extra month per year just getting to work because you can't afford a car. And nobody counts this as a cost. Nobody sees this as a tax, but it is. It's the time tax. And it's just one of dozens of hidden taxes that poor people pay every single day that rich people never even think about. Today I'm going to show you the actual cost of being poor in America. Quantify every hidden tax you're paying, and prove that poverty isn't about poor choices. It's about a system designed to extract time, money, and opportunity from people who can't afford to pay. Let me tell you about Angela. She works as a home health aide making $14 an hour. She's a single mom with 2 kids. She works hard, she budgets carefully. She does everything the personal finance experts tell her to do. And yet every month, she pays hundreds of dollars in hidden taxes that her wealthier coworkers never pay. Not taxes to the government. Taxes to the system. Taxes for being poor. Start with banking. Angela lives paycheck to paycheck. Sometimes her account balance gets low. Last month, her electric bill auto-withdrew 1 day before her paycheck deposited. $35 overdraft fee. Then because she was overdrawn, her rent check bounced. $35 NSF fee from her bank, plus a $50 returned check fee from her landlord. That's $120 in fees because her paycheck came 1 day late. Her wealthier coworker never pays these fees because she has cushion in her account. Same bank, same account type, different cost. That's a tax on being poor. Transportation. Angela can't afford a car. A reliable used car costs $10,000. She has $300 in savings. So she takes the bus. 2 buses actually, because the route isn't direct. That's 4 hours a day commuting versus her coworker's 1 hour driving. But it's not just time. The bus costs $3 each way, $6 per day, $30 per week, $120 per month, $1,440 per year. Her coworker pays about $150 per month in gas and insurance for a paid-off car. That's $1,800 per year. Angela is paying $1,440 for a worse option that takes 3 hours longer per day. And if she could afford the $10,000 car, she'd save time and money. But she can't afford it. So she pays the poverty premium on transportation forever. Food. Angela doesn't have a car, so she can't get Costco. She shops at the corner store near the bus stop. A gallon of milk at Costco costs $3.50. At the corner store, it's $5.49. Toilet paper at Costco is 50 cents per roll when you buy the bulk pack. At the corner store, it's $1.50 per roll. She's paying 3 times more per unit because she can't afford the membership, can't get to the store, and can't afford to buy in bulk even if she could. Over a year, this probably costs her an extra $2,000. Her wealthier coworker loads up at Costco once a month and saves thousands. Same products, different price. Tax on being poor. Laundry. Angela's apartment doesn't have washer and dryer hookups. Laundromat costs $12 per week. That's $624 per year. Her coworker has a washer and dryer in her house. Costs about $150 per year in water and electricity. Angela is paying $474 more per year for the same clean clothes. If she had $800 to buy a used washer and dryer, she'd save money every year. But she doesn't have $800, so she pays the tax. And here's the big one. Time. Angela spends 4 hours per day commuting. Her coworker spends 1 hour. That's 3 extra hours per day. Angela uses that time sitting on the bus. unable to do anything productive. If she had those 3 hours back, she could work a second job and earn an extra $42 per day. That's $210 per week, $840 per month, $10,080 per year in potential earnings lost because she's strapped on a bus. Or she could use those hours to learn a new skill, to apply for better jobs, to spend time with her kids, to cook healthy meals instead of buying fast food, to sleep and maintain her health. The time tax is the biggest tax of all, and nobody counts it. Add it all up. Banking fees, 120 from that one incident. Probably happens quarterly, so 480 per year. Transportation premium, extra costs and lost time value, conservatively 5,000 per year. Food premium from inability to bulk buy, 2,000 per year. Laundry premium, 474. Just these categories, that's $7,954 per year in poverty taxes. On an income of about $29,000, that's a 27% poverty tax rate. More than a quarter of her income goes to costs that her wealthier coworker doesn't pay. Same city, same jobs available, different cost of living based purely on having money versus not having money. Let's calculate the complete poverty tax across all categories, because what I showed you is just the beginning. We're going to compare two people. Person A makes $29,000 per year and is living paycheck to paycheck. Person B makes $65,000 per year and has financial cushion. Both live in the same city, both work full-time, both are trying to live responsible lives. Let's calculate every single hidden tax person A pays that person B doesn't. Banking and financial services. Person A pays $12 per month in checking account fees because they can't maintain the $1,500 minimum balance. That's $144 per year. Person B maintains the minimum, pays $0. Person A overdrafts 3 times per year due to timing mismatches between bills and paychecks. That's $105 in overdraft fees. Person B never overdrafts because they have cushion, $0. Person A doesn't have a bank near their home, uses out-of-network ATMs, $3 per transaction, twice per month. That's $72 per year. Person B uses their bank's ATMs, $0 fees. Person A can't get approved for a credit card, uses check cashing services for their paycheck, 2% fee. On bi-weekly paychecks of $1,116, that's $22 per paycheck, $572 per year. Person B direct deposits to their account, $0 fees. Total financial services tax on person A, $893 per year. Person B pays $0. Transportation. Person A takes the bus, $120 per month, $1,440 per year. Plus 4 hours per day commuting times, 20 work days per month, times 12 months equals 960 hours per year. At $14 per hour opportunity cost, that's $13,440 in lost potential earnings or personal time value. Person B drives a paid-off car, costs $150 per month in gas, insurance, maintenance. $1,800 per year. Plus 1 hour per day commuting, 240 hours per year. At $31 per hour their wage, that's $7,440 in time cost. Person A's total transportation cost, including time, $14,880. Person B's total, $9,240. Difference, $5,640 poverty tax. Housing. Person A rents a small apartment, $1,400 per month because they can't afford a down payment to buy. Person B bought a small house with help from family for down payment. Mortgage is $1,200 per month and they're building equity. Over a year, person A pays $16,800 in rent and owns nothing. Person B pays $14,400 in mortgage and owns increasing equity. Person A pays $2,400 more and gets $0 equity. That's a tax. Food and groceries. Person A can't buy in bulk, can't get to wholesale stores, pays about 30% more per unit on average. On $600 per month in food, that's $180 more per month. $2,160 per year poverty premium. Person B buys in bulk, pays $600 per month total. Tax, $2,160. Healthcare. Person A has a high deductible health plan, cheapest option available, $300 per month premium plus $6,000 deductible. They avoid going to the doctor until things are serious because they can't afford the deductible. This year they had an infection that got bad, ended up costing $4,500 out of pocket. Total healthcare cost, $9,100 per year. Person B has a better plan through their employer, $200 per month premium, $2,000 deductible. They go to the doctor preventatively. Spent $800 on out-of-pocket this year. Total healthcare cost, $3,200. Person A pays $5,900 more for worse care. That's a tax on being poor and not having access to preventative care. Child care. Person A has 2 kids. Can't afford formal child care at $1,400 per month per kid. Cobbles together informal arrangements with a neighbor who watches them after school, pays her $400 per month cash. But it's unreliable. Twice this year the neighbor wasn't available and person A had to miss work, lost about $400 in wages. Total child care cost, including lost wages, $5,200 per year. Person B has 1 kid, pays for quality daycare, $1,400 per month, $16,800 per year, but gets the child care tax credit of $2,000. Net cost, $14,800. Wait, person B pays more for child care. But here's the difference. Person B's child care is reliable and educational. Person A's is informal and unreliable, and they still lose work sometimes. Quality difference is significant even though the dollar cost is less. Credit and debt. Person A has no access to traditional credit. When their car broke down and they needed $500 for repairs, they had to use a Payday loan. 15% fee for a 2-week loan. That's $75. They couldn't pay it back in 2 weeks, so they rolled it over. Another $75. They eventually paid $650 total for a $500 loan. Person B has a credit card with a 10% APR. They put the $500 on the card and paid it off over 3 months. Cost about $20 in interest. Person A paid $150 in fees for the same $500. Tax on having no credit access. Insurance. Person A has minimum liability car insurance. Wait, person A doesn't have a car. But they do have renter's insurance in a high-risk zip code because that's where they can afford to live. $25 per month. $300 per year. Person B has homeowner's insurance in a safer neighborhood, $80 per month. $960 per year. But here's the difference. Person B is insuring a $300,000 asset and building equity. Person A is insuring basically nothing in a more dangerous area and still paying a premium. When you calculate per dollar of asset protected, person A is paying way more. Utilities. Person A lives in an older, poorly insulated apartment. Electric bill averages $150 per month, $1,800 per year. Person B lives in a newer, efficient house. Electric bill averages $90 per month, $1,080 per year. Person A pays $720 more for the same electricity because their landlord has an upgraded insulation. Tax on being a renter in an old building. Late fees and penalties. Person A juggles bills carefully, but sometimes things don't line up. Over the year, paid about $300 in late fees on various bills. Not because they weren't going to pay, but because of timing. Person B has auto pay on everything and cushion in their account. 0 late fees. Tax, $300. Time value of managing poverty. Person A spends about 10 hours per week managing their finances, juggling bills, figuring out which to pay when, dealing with overdrafts, dealing with creditors, going to check cashing places, going to the laundromat, taking buses. That's 520 hours per year. At $14 per hour, That's $7,280 in time cost. Person B spends maybe 2 hours per week on finances. Everything is automated. 104 hours per year. At 31 per hour, that's 3,224. Difference, 4,056 in time cost that person A pays to be poor. Let's add everything up. Financial services, $893. Transportation time and cost premium, $5,640. Housing equity loss, $2,400. Food premium, $2,160. Healthcare premium, $5,900. Childcare issues, $400 in lost wages. Credit access, $150 premium. Utility premium, $720. Late fees, $300. Time tax, $4,056. Total annual poverty tax, $22,519. Person A makes $29,000 per year. They pay $22,519 in poverty taxes. That's a 78% poverty tax rate. More than 3/4 of their income goes to costs and inefficiencies that person B doesn't pay. Person B makes $65,000 and pays essentially zero poverty tax. They have some time costs, but they're proportional to their income. The poverty tax is regressive. The less you make, the higher percentage you pay. So why does this exist? Why is the system designed to charge poor people more for everything? Because poverty is profitable. There's an entire industry built on extracting money from poor people, and it's a multi-hundred-billion-dollar industry that has no incentive to change. Let's start with banking. Banks make more profit from poor customers than rich customers. We covered this before, but it bears repeating. A customer with a $500 average balance pays $800 to $1,000 per year in fees. A customer with a $50,000 balance pays $0 in fees and gets interest. Banks make 100% return on poor customers and 5% on rich customers. Poor customers are 20 times more profitable per dollar of balance. The banking system is designed to extract fees from poor people because that's where the profit is. Then there's the alternative financial services industry. Check cashing places, payday lenders, title loan companies, rent-to-own stores. This industry did $40 billion in revenue last year, almost pure profit. They exist because banks won't serve poor people with reasonable products. So poor people are forced into these predatory alternatives. A payday loan that charges 15% for 2 weeks is an annual percentage rate of 390%. Usury laws should prevent this, but the industry has lobbied for exemptions. They're legally allowed to charge rates that would have been criminal 50 years ago. And who uses these services? People with no other option. People like person A. The poverty premium on goods is another profit center. Corner stores in poor neighborhoods charge more than supermarkets in rich neighborhoods for the exact same products. Why? Because they can. Poor people don't have cars to get to the cheaper store. They don't have money to buy in bulk. They need to buy small quantities frequently. The corner store has a captive market. So they charge more. 64 ounces of orange juice at a suburban supermarket costs $4. 16 ounces at a corner store costs $3. You're paying 3 times more per ounce because you're poor and can't access the cheaper option. The corner store is extracting profit from poverty. Transportation is a massive systemic issue. Poor people can't afford cars, so they take public transit. But public transit in most American cities is underfunded and designed badly. Routes don't connect where poor people live to where jobs are. Frequency is low. The working poor spend hours commuting by bus for trips that would take 30 minutes by car. This isn't an accident, it's a policy choice. Cities underfund public transit because the people making decisions don't use public transit. They drive. They don't care if bus routes are inefficient because it doesn't affect them. And the time cost on poor people is enormous. Angela loses 3 hours per day. That's 15% of her entire day, every day, just getting to work. 15% time tax. Housing is the biggest systemic extraction. Poor people rent because they can't afford down payments. Renting costs more long-term than owning but requires no upfront capital. A landlord with a mortgage on Angela's apartment pays maybe $900 per month. They charge Angela $1,400. They're making $500 per month profit, $60,000 per year. Over a 30-year mortgage, the landlord will collect $600,000 from tenants while paying $300,000 in mortgage, $300,000 in profit. Angela pays $600,000 and owns nothing. The landlord pays $300,000 and owns an asset worth $500,000 at the end. Angela generated all that wealth with her rent payments. The landlord captured it. This is wealth extraction from poor to rich. Credit access is designed to keep poor people poor. If you have no credit history, you can't get credit. If you can't get credit, you can't build credit history. Catch-22. So poor people use payday loans and rent to own and pay exponentially more for everything. Meanwhile, rich people with excellent credit get 0% financing on cars, low-rate mortgages, cashback credit cards. The system rewards people who already have money with access to cheap credit. It punishes people without money with expensive or no credit. Healthcare is the clearest example of the poverty tax. Poor people have high deductible plans because that's what they can afford in premiums. So they avoid the doctor to avoid costs. Preventable conditions become expensive emergencies. They end up paying more for worse outcomes. Rich people have comprehensive insurance, go to the doctor regularly, catch things early, pay less overall. Person A avoided the doctor when they had an infection because they couldn't afford the copay. It got worse. Ended up costing $4,500 in urgent care. Person B would have gone immediately, paid $30 copay, got antibiotics, total cost $80. Person A paid $4,500 for the same infection because they tried to avoid the initial cost. Poverty makes healthcare more expensive. Time poverty is never counted, but it's the most expensive tax. The working poor spend enormous amounts of time on things that cost rich people money but save time. Laundromat versus having a washer. Bus versus driving. Waiting in government offices for benefits. Calling credit card companies to negotiate late fees. Going to check cashing places. All of this is time they can't use to earn money, learn skills, or rest. Person A spends 10 hours per week on poverty management. That's an entire extra day per week. 52 extra days per year managing the logistics of being poor. If she could convert that time to work at 14 per hour, that's $7,280 per year. But she can't because the time is fragmented and required. The system is designed this way because every one of these inefficiencies is profitable to someone. Banks profit from overdraft fees. Payday lenders profit from high-interest loans. Landlords profit from the rent premium. Corner stores profit from the poverty premium on goods. The entire system has optimized to extract maximum value from poor people who have no alternatives. And it's legal. All of it. Predatory, yes. Immoral, arguably. But legal. So you're trapped in a system that charges you more for everything because you're poor. Every transaction costs more. Every service costs more. Every minute of your time is eaten by managing poverty. What do you actually do? How do you escape a system designed to keep you exactly where you are? First, understand that you're not the problem. You're not paying these taxes because you're bad with money or lazy or irresponsible. You're paying them because the system is designed to extract from you. That's not a moral failing. That's a structural problem. Stop carrying shame for being victimized by an extractive system. Second, attack the financial services poverty tax immediately. Switch to a bank or credit union with no fees and no minimum balance requirements. Chime, Ally, many credit unions. Do this today. Opt out of overdraft protection completely. Get declined instead of getting charged. Set up account alerts when your balance drops below $100. These are free tools that save you hundreds. Third, Build a tiny buffer even if it's just $50. One $50 buffer prevents one $35 overdraft fee. It pays for itself the first time it saves you. Every dollar in buffer is insurance against the fee cascade. Can't save $50? Start with 10. Build slowly. The buffer is the highest return investment you can make. Fourth, attack the transportation tax. This is harder because cars cost money, but look into every option. Carpooling with coworkers, bike share programs, employer-sponsored van pools. Some cities have programs that help low-income workers buy used cars with low-interest loans. Research what's available. Every hour you save commuting is an hour you can use to earn, learn, or rest. Transportation is the biggest time tax. Solving it unlocks everything else. Fifth, form a buying collective for bulk purchases. Get together with neighbors, co-workers, family. Pool money to buy a Costco membership. Go together once a month. Split bulk items. 5 families can share a 24-pack of paper towels, and all pay 80 cents per roll instead of $3. This cuts the food poverty tax by thousands per year. Sixth, invest in appliances that save money long-term, even if they cost up front. A used washer and dryer for $800 saves you $474 per year. Pays for itself in less than 2 years. Look for financing, layaway, buy-nothing groups, Craigslist. The appliances are tools that eliminate ongoing poverty taxes. Seventh, use every assistance program you qualify for. SNAP, Medicaid, housing assistance, LIHEAP for utilities, free tax preparation, earned income tax credit. These programs exist because society acknowledges that poverty is expensive. Using them isn't shameful. It's using resources you're entitled to. Every dollar in assistance is a dollar less you're paying in poverty tax. Eighth, build your credit deliberately. Get a secured credit card. Put down $200, that becomes your limit. Use it for one recurring bill like your phone. Pay it off every month. In 6 months your score will rise. In a year you'll qualify for better rates. The difference between a payday loan at 390% APR and a personal loan at 10% APR is enormous. Building credit is investing in lower future costs. Ninth, maximize your time. If you're spending 10 hours a week managing poverty, look for every possible efficiency. Auto-pay bills even if it's risky, but manage it carefully. Consolidate trips, meal prep once a week. Every hour you reclaim is an hour you can use to improve your situation, or just to rest and maintain your health. 10th, advocate for systemic change. Vote for politicians who support public transit funding, rent control, banking regulations, payday loan caps, minimum wage increases. Individual optimization helps you personally, but it doesn't fix the system. The system needs to change. Get involved in tenant unions, worker organizing, community advocacy. Your poverty tax funds corporate profits. Those corporations lobby to keep the system this way. Counter that with collective political power. Here's what I need you to understand. Person A pays a 78% poverty tax, not to the government, to the system. To banks, to landlords, to payday lenders, to check cashing places, to corner stores, to time loss. 78% of their income goes to costs that person B doesn't pay. This isn't because person A makes poor choices. It's because being poor is expensive. The Boots theory we talked about before is just one example. The entire system operates on this principle. You pay more because you can't afford to pay less. You pay more in bank fees because you can't maintain a minimum balance. You pay more for food because you can't buy in bulk. You pay more for housing because you can't afford a down payment. You pay more in time because you can't afford a car. You pay more in interest because you can't access traditional credit. Every single system is designed to charge you more for having less. And the people designing these systems know exactly what they're doing. Payday lenders know their customers are desperate. Banks know poor customers are more profitable. Landlords know tenants have no choice. Everyone is optimizing their own profit by extracting from people who can't fight back. This isn't a conspiracy. It's just capitalism finding the most profitable customers. And it turns out poor people are extremely profitable when you can trap them in high-cost systems. Angela pays $22,519 per year in poverty taxes on a $29,000 income. If she could eliminate even half of those, she'd have an extra $11,000 per year. She could save for a car, eliminate the transportation tax. She could save for a down payment, eliminate the housing tax. She could build an emergency fund, eliminate the credit access tax. But she can't eliminate them because she's trapped in them. The poverty taxes prevent her from accumulating the capital that would eliminate the poverty taxes. It's a perfect trap. So here's what I want you to do. If you're paying poverty taxes, calculate them. Add up every fee, every premium, every extra cost, every hour lost. Look at the total. Get angry, not at yourself. At the system you're being systematically extracted from. That's not okay. Then take one action this week. Switch banks, or build a $10 buffer, or research assistance programs, or set up a bulk buying collective with neighbors. One action. Then next week, another. Slowly reduce the poverty taxes you're paying. Every dollar you save is a dollar that stays in your community instead of being extracted to corporate profits. And vote. This system exists because we allow it. We can cap payday loan interest rates. We can regulate bank fees. We can fund public transit. We can build public housing. We can raise minimum wage. We can provide universal health care. Every one of these policy changes would reduce the poverty tax, but they require political will. They require you to show up and demand change. You're not lazy. You're not irresponsible. You're not bad with money. You're paying the 78% tax for being poor in a system designed to keep you poor. Reject that narrative. Fight back. And demand a system that doesn't charge people more for having less. You deserve better. We all do. I'll see you in the next one.